if the hot wire is intense, so it makes for sloppy cuts. So I gotta keep it tight, but tighten too much, and you gotta replace it. So, I was looking at this, thinking about these little markings. One, I put the bottom on the wrong side. This side is flat, so that it sits flat, obviously. And I've got this thing on the wrong side. This is the actual orientation it's going to be, unless I feel like redoing the whole thing. That creates a issue. This no longer looks like dental molding. Questionable whether it ever looked like dental molding in the first place. So this terrain is going to be for this group of miniatures I have that have this very Leonardo da Vinci, like pre-steampunk. And so I thought, well, I'll make a Renaissance era architecture to suit them. A little bit boring. Nothing wrong with that, making things look the way that you expect them to look. But I was looking at this other group of miniatures I have that are a sort of reptile and amphibian army of sentient people. And I was thinking how cool it would be to have them be in a canal city that looks like Venice. But I wouldn't want to add the Gothic elements that Venice has, because for one thing, it doesn't really suit the miniatures. For the other thing, they already have been styled in like a sort of Mayan fashion or an Aztec fashion, which is typical for some reason for lizard people. They all live in South America, I guess. And I thought, how cool would it be if I put them in Venetian apartments with Aztec styling? So like wonderful canals, beautiful apartments with a really unique styling element. And I think that suits Venice really well, because Venice has an interesting architecture to it. Venice is a lot of boxes with a bunch of decoration on them. And they've got these Gothic details and these Islamic details just sort of pasted onto them. So I think it's really well suited to just rip off the things that the Venetian people were inspired by and the like Mediterranean influences they had, and just replace it with something else. So, yeah, I think I'm going to pivot. I think I'm going to make this look more like it is a Mayan decoration, like a Mayan style. Keep the architecture and change who's living in these buildings. I'm a little nervous about how it's going to turn out. I've never attempted to make these kinds of patterns before, but never attempted to do almost any of this before. So let's see how it turns out. I am displeased. So I think the problem is with what I'm doing. I actually like the look of it, but there isn't any actual depth. All of the depth is these little carvings, and I think what I need to do is to do some cutouts for the windows and the doors, and then set those things back instead of at the same layer. One of the reasons why I'm so focused on that is because I've made these the exact size that I want them to be. I want them to be able to abut each other like this on the gaming table and have them be completely flush. I can't do that if I put any detail on the outside. So it might be really natural to put like, you know, a panel right here and it would look really good. But for my particular use case, that's not going to be effective. I'm going to go find some little bits and see what I want to use and then cut them out. Let's do it. To base coat this foam, and that means that we need to put some glue on it. I would like to give this what is called a zenithal highlight. I'm going to spray it with white spray paint, and the solvent spray paint will just dissolve this foam into nothing. So to protect it, I'm going to use this glue that is also a sealer. Let's get cracking. If you're curious about the paint, it's just Liquitex Basics that I've pre-mixed to a good working consistency with some water. Your guess is as good as mine why I thought I needed to pre-wet this. Well, some successes, some failures here. Printed out these very small windows. So I really like the way that these windows look. I really like the door that I printed. However, not a huge fan of the way roofs look. So how do they go together? Like this. My hope was that these swoops would look interesting, and since there are some of the miniatures that I'm painting have an Asian sort of inspiration, I was hoping that I could marry the Chinese architecture with the Mayan architecture in a way that might look interesting, but not necessarily clash. However, this particular like roof curve to me reads like early 20th century Orientalism, a Hollywood take on like Asian architecture styles. So yeah, not a huge fan. So scrapping this, using these cool little windows, and using this super cool door. All right, I'm gonna cut out these, cut out spaces for these windows and this door and see what it looks like. This is a silicone mold of a diorama roof sold at a craft store. If you're an IP lawyer for Michael's Crafts,
Pretend you didn't see this, okay?
Heck yeah. Okay, so I totally forgot where I put my camera when it came time to record the process of painting this. So it's already mostly painted. That being said, there's this one little section I'm going to paint for you that will demonstrate 99% of what I was doing with the main building before I get back to that. So let's take a look at that.
My hot air blower broke, which I usually use to speed along the process of drying the paint. The replacement might be a little too aggressive. This is an experiment with gouache as like a overall glaze and pin lining paint and wash. ended up liking it quite a lot.
So this is super anxiety inducing. I really hope this comes off. Used as a wash on some bricks and it looked pretty good, but I let this fully dry as a way of experiment. So let's see if it actually comes off, or let's see if I have to repaint a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, look at that. That is a beauty. Wipes right off. Okay, I'm looking at this thing and it's looking a little bit too dour. The color's really saturated, so I think I'm going to do that stone edging in white stone. Let's see if that makes it pop a little bit. Let's see if it tones down the saturation just a bit.